Today we continue with a case that occurred in Baishujiang Village, Bingshan District, Hebei Province, China. It is considered the coldest place in the country, with temperatures dropping to minus 16 degrees Celsius in winter and only slightly above 20 degrees in summer. This particular weather has often concealed crimes under thick layers of snow or reduced the decomposition of bodies, minimizing the unpleasant odor until the higher temperatures of summer. The case I'm going to tell you about today is a similar situation. The story takes place on a summer afternoon in May 2012. A farmer named Zhang, a resident of Baishujiang Village, Bingshan District, Hebei Province, was plowing his field when he became thirsty, but his water bottle was empty. However, feeling extremely thirsty, he suddenly remembered a large well near the field. During dry seasons, he would fetch water from this well to irrigate his crops, although the water there was not clear and had a yellowish color. Nevertheless, due to his extreme thirst, Zhang didn't pay much attention. The well had been dug deep into the ground, and stones were placed to prevent soil erosion. The path to the well consisted of rectangular stone steps. These stones were firmly embedded into the ground below the well's walls, allowing people to step on them and descend deeper to collect water when the well ran dry. Zhang carried his water bottle and stepped down the stone stairs to scoop some water. However, after taking a sip, he noticed a foul, unpleasant smell emanating from the water. At that moment, his gaze collided with an object floating just beneath the murky surface. The object, due to the light yellowish color of the water, wasn't fully visible, but rather suspended within it. Moreover, it was approximately 8 meters away from Zhang, making it hard for him to determine what it was. Upon closer inspection, he noticed a part of the strange object resembling a pale white human hand. At this point, a sense of foreboding overwhelmed Zhang, and he quickly threw away his water bottle, climbed up the well's steps, and called the police to report the incident. Upon receiving the call, the police arrived at the scene. Zhang then recounted the events to the officers and expressed uncertainty whether the object was a dead body or just a haunted object intentionally thrown into the well by someone. One police officer removed his uniform to facilitate his descent towards the suspicious object at the bottom of the well. He swiftly confirmed to his colleagues that it was indeed a heavily decomposed body. Consequently, the police obtained a wooden door with glass and attached wooden planks around it to create an improvised platform. They placed this platform on the well, allowing water to drain out and reduce the weight. The police secured ropes to the four corners of the improvised platform to balance it and gradually lifted the body from the well, pulling each corner at a time. As they retrieved the body, the police identified it as that of an adult woman tightly bound and attached to a relatively large stone along with multiple ropes. This stone weighed about 46 pounds, and the main purpose of tying the body to it was to prevent it from floating to the water's surface. Observing the location of the well, the police realized its proximity to Baishujiang Village, raising suspicions. Just 6 months prior, a woman had gone missing in that village and her family had reported her disappearance, yet she had not been found. It was highly likely that the female victim had been murdered and her body discarded at the bottom of the well. The police immediately informed the sister and husband of the missing woman who had been reported missing over 6 months ago. When the two individuals identified the body, they quickly recognized that the clothing worn by the victim was that of their own relatives, but they said that the body didn't look quite the same. People believed that this was just a defensive psychological reaction, a reluctance to believe that their loved ones had been murdered and discarded in such a brutal manner at the bottom of a well. Due to the long immersion in water, the skin had completely peeled off in various parts. The palms of the hands and the feet showed signs of glove and sock shedding, which are terms used in forensic examinations to refer to complete skin peeling in these areas. Typically, the process of skeletonization of a body underwater takes about 1 to 2 months, but it can occur earlier as well. In 2002, a study was conducted at the border between Portugal and Spain to investigate the drifting of bodies hundreds of kilometers after 20 days. 2 bodies were found in a highly decomposed state, and their identities could only be confirmed through DNA technology. In another study in 2008, which involved warmer water temperatures, 2 bodies found after 34 days of drifting had partially undergone skeletalization, while a body found after 3 months of drifting had completely skeletalized, leaving only bones behind. The forensic doctor determined that this victim had been murdered and thrown into the well approximately 6 months ago, but the body was still relatively well preserved. Deep weld marks were even visible in the neck area, indicating damage to muscles, blood vessels, and the thyroid gland. The condition of the victim indicated violence, such as broken ribs and internal organs showing signs of rupture from the perpetrator pressing their knees against them. The cause of death, as determined by the forensic doctor, was mechanical asphyxia, meaning death by strangulation. So why was the body relatively well preserved after 6 months while normally underwater bodies undergo skeletonization within a few months? The fact is that the victim died in late autumn when Hebei, considered the polar region of China, had entered the freezing winter. During winter, temperatures here consistently ranged from -3 to -16 degrees Celsius, causing the water to freeze. Therefore, the body was preserved similarly to how we preserve meat in the freezer compartment of a refrigerator. It was not until March, when the weather gradually became around 0 to -10 degrees Celsius, that the new ice layer began to melt. However, with such low temperatures, the rate of decomposition of the body was significantly reduced. This explains why after more than 6 months, the condition of the victim's remains was still relatively well preserved, allowing the doctor to accurately determine the cause of death. Although the family of the missing person was not certain that this body was, their relative DNA testing immediately afterwards confirmed that the deceased person found in the well was 36-year-old An Bing, a resident of Baishujiang village. The disappearance case had occurred 7 months earlier and had now become a homicide case. Let's go back to the end of September 2011 to see what information the police had and what they investigated regarding this disappearance. On the morning of September 25, 2011, An Bing's elder sister received a call from Bing's husband, Zhao Chengkui, saying that he couldn't reach his wife and asked her to come to the house to see if anything had happened. At the time, An Bing, 36 years old, was considered a beautiful woman in Baishujiang village, and Zhao Chengkui was her third husband. Since she didn't have a job and Kui was working in a distant coal mine, they only had a few occasions to meet each other throughout the year. Despite the distance, their relationship remained close. Kui regularly communicated with his wife via phone to talk about life in the village and share his work experiences at the coal mine. He consistently sent money home every month and always reminded his wife to take care of herself without being too frugal. Everything was going smoothly until September 24th and 25th. Despite Zhao Chengkui making numerous phone calls to An Bing, he couldn't get in touch with her. Initially, Kui thought that Bing's phone had run out of battery and was turned off and she was charging it. However, the next day, no matter how many times Kui called, there was still no answer from An Bing's phone. This unprecedented situation made Zhao Chengkui feel something was wrong. He contacted the neighbor and asked them to go to the house and see if anything had happened. The neighbor woman told Kui that the previous evening she had seen Bing sitting in front of the house picking vegetables, but when she went to An Bing's house at that time, the door was tightly closed. She called out to Bing from outside, but no one answered. Kui called his mother and asked her to go to the house to check. When his mother arrived, she found that Bing was not at home, and her black handbag, which she usually carried, was still hanging on the hook inside the house. This was Bing's favorite bag, and the most valuable item she owned in the house. Zhao Chengkui's mother called back to inform him that his wife was not at home. Immediately, she called Bing's parents to inform them that their daughter had been missing for 2 days. However, Bing's parents also said they didn't know where their daughter had gone. Upon learning that she was not at home and couldn't be contacted, Kui became extremely worried and decided to take a few days off, buy train tickets, and return to Hebei to find An Bing. He lived in the same village, Baishujiang, where An Bing's sister's family lived. After hearing the news of her sister's disappearance, Bing's sister wanted to call the police immediately, but Kui prevented her and suggested searching in the village first. Therefore, Kui's family and Bing's family, along with the entire village, searched everywhere for 5 days but couldn't find her. At this point, Bing's sister couldn't bear the anxiety any longer and called the police, despite Zhao Chengkui's objections. When the police arrived at Kui's house, they found a bloodstain on the bed railing. It was then that Bing's sister discovered that during the days they were busy searching for Bing, Kui had been at home and had washed the sheets, covers, pillows, and even cleaned the room. Kui's behavior undoubtedly destroyed all the important evidence in his house. With this bloodstain, it was highly likely that something unfortunate had happened to Bing. So why did Zhao Chengkui clean up all the important evidence in his own house? And why did he continuously prevent Bing's sister from calling the police? With these factors, Zhao Chengkui became the primary suspect in the case. When the police asked Kui why his wife had been missing for 5 days without him reporting it to the police, and why he prevented her family from reporting the disappearance, Zhao Chengkui became hesitant and couldn't provide an explanation. Therefore, the police focused on investigating and interrogating him. As mentioned earlier, Zhao Chengkui was An Bing's third husband. The two had been married for many years but had not had any children. Kui and Bing had a very good relationship and he cared deeply for his wife. Neither of them had any fertility issues, but it was Bing who actively planned not to have children. In her previous 2 marriages, she had given birth to a son and a daughter for each husband, but Bing didn't want to have children with Zhao Chengkui because their lives were too impoverished. She believed that her husband only had a menial job and an insufficient income to provide a comfortable life. In this day and age, living in a dark, cramped house, struggling with scorching heat and heavy rain, having a child would only bring suffering to the child. Therefore, An Bing decided not to have children anymore. Although Kuei always wished to become a father and worked harder to send money home, hoping to change An Bing's mindset. The police suspected that there might have been an argument between the couple regarding the issue of having children, and in the heat of the argument, Zhao Chengkuei unintentionally killed An Bing. However, at the time of Bing's disappearance, Kuei was working at a coal mine in Shanxi. He had called his wife multiple times but couldn't reach her, so he asked the neighbors, his mother and sister-in-law, to check. When it was confirmed that Bing was not at home, Kuei immediately bought the earliest train ticket to return to his hometown. His colleagues at the coal mine also confirmed that Kuei had been working there on September 24th and the morning of the 25th. It was evident that he was not present in the village of Baishujiang on the night of the 24th. However, if Kuei wasn't the murderer, what was the reason for him preventing his wife from calling the police and cleaning the blood-stained sheets in the house? Under police interrogation, Kuei finally revealed why he refused to report his wife's disappearance. It turned out that on the evening of September 20th, Kuei received a call from Zhang Liam, a distant cousin. Over the phone, Liam told Kuei that if he didn't return to the village and take care of his wife, she would eventually leave him and go with someone else. Kuei believed that Liam was talking nonsense because he knew Liam was lazy and only cared about alcohol. Therefore, Kuei scolded Liam and hung up the phone immediately after hearing his cousin's words. He then tried calling his wife but couldn't reach her. With this incident in mind, when Kuei returned to Baishujiang village and found his wife missing, he thought about his cousin's phone call and believed that his wife had been unfaithful and eloped with someone else. Having been married to his wife for a long time without having children, Zhao Chengkuei, as the only son in his family, was facing an embarrassing issue within his own family. If this matter were to be investigated and spread within the village, he would be ashamed to show his face. That's why Zhao Chengkuei didn't want to report his wife's disappearance to the police. He also didn't want to explain the room cleaning. However, under intense police questioning, Kuei provided an explanation. He said that when he was young, his wife was very beautiful and had been married twice before coming to him. His family and circumstances were worse off compared to her two previous husbands, so he always felt insecure and afraid that his wife wouldn't endure hardship and would leave him. There were times when Bing also wanted to break up, but Kuei always promised to try to earn more money so that she wouldn't have to suffer. He thought that his wife wanted decisiveness and didn't want him to search for her anymore. Therefore, he believed that Bing had created a fake crime scene with bloodstains to make it appear that she had met with an accident. With a sense of frustration, disappointment, and loss of trust in the woman he loved, Zhao Chengkuei cleaned up the room that he believed was the fake crime scene created by his wife. However, the police later found Bing's ID card. If she had truly run away with someone else, she would have taken her ID card with her because it is an important document for buying train tickets or applying for jobs. It was clear that An Bing hadn't left, and the remaining bloodstains on the bed were tested and confirmed to be An Bing's blood. At this point, Zhao Chengkuei began to truly believe that his wife had been harmed, but he had erased all the evidence. He destroyed the crime scene before reporting it to the police, making the investigation into physical evidence and traces very difficult. The police also thought about the cousin who had called Kuei and said that Bing would run away with another man if Kuei didn't return to the village and take care of his wife properly. He must know something, or have knowledge of the man who had an illicit relationship with An Bing, which is why he spoke like that. And Bing's disappearance occurred immediately after she informed the victim's husband. If we say this is a coincidence, it's quite unlikely. The police tried to find Zhang Liam in Baishujiang village, but they discovered that he was no longer in the village. When the police called Zhang Liam's phone number, he said that he had followed his wife and child back to his wife's hometown in Guangxi. When the police asked about the phone call he made to Kuei about his wife leaving with someone else, Liam said that he was too drunk to remember what he said. Moreover, he didn't remember how he made the phone call to Zhao Chengkuei. If he did make the call, he was just talking nonsense while he was out of control due to alcohol. The police wanted to gather more information about the case, so they requested Zhang Liam to return to Hebei to assist in the investigation of An Bing's disappearance. However, Liam said that his wife was currently sick and needed more care. In addition, he had many things to do in Guangxi and didn't want to return to Hebei to cooperate with the investigation. Although the police conducted a thorough search in the village, they still didn't find any further leads on An Bing. It's uncertain whether she is alive or dead because no body was found and there are no clues. The case was classified as a missing persons report, and there was no progress for 7 months until the summer of 2012, when An Bing's body was discovered floating in the water of a large well in the eastern part of Baishujiang village. This development in the case, and the mysterious location of the well, which was not built above ground like conventional wells as we know them, but was completely flat with only stone embankments to prevent landslides from the inside, indicated that the perpetrator had thrown An Bing's body into it and must be someone from the village. The strange phone call left a trace in the telecommunications record, and at the same time, Zhang Liam tried to refuse and didn't want to cooperate during the investigation. These pieces of information suggest that Zhang Liam, Kuei's distant cousin, was directly involved in An Bing's death and tried to avoid contact to avoid suspicion and escape. This posed further difficulties for the investigation, and a group of police officers stayed in Baishujiang village to gather information from the residents. Meanwhile, another group of police officers went to Guangxi to search for clues about Zhang Liam. The information obtained revealed that Zhang Liam's wife was from Guangxi, and their family was also experiencing financial difficulties. The police sought the cooperation of the Guangxi police to find the address of Zhang Liam's wife's family. Finally, they found Zhang Liam at his wife's house. Meanwhile, another group of police officers had searched Zhang Liam's old house and discovered a coil of rope in the warehouse. It was a perfect match for the type of rope used to tie the victim to the large rock and throw the body into the well. When comparing the cut marks on this coil of rope with the remaining coil in the warehouse, the police found that they matched perfectly, including both the length and the diagonal cut. From this evidence, it was clear that Zhang Liam was highly likely the perpetrator. Initially, Liam tried to deny any involvement in An Bing's death. However, when the police informed him about the discovery of the rope he had used, Zhang Liam could no longer deny it and continued to refuse to recall the incident. Due to having consumed a large amount of alcohol, the police might have had to resort to unwanted investigative measures to restore Liam's memory. After some contemplation, Zhang Liam finally admitted that he had indeed murdered An Bing, but the specific reason for his attack on her remained undisclosed. This story must begin nearly a year before the Zhang Liam case, when Zhang Liam and An Bing began dating. Since the beginning of 2011, Bing had been living alone in Baishujiang village because her husband often stayed away for work in another province. Zhang Liam worked as a wandering masseur acupuncturist in the village and earned a modest income, and Bing was an attractive woman who often caught the attention of many men. Whether by chance or intentionally, Bing would often ask Liam to massage her waist instead of using other exercise methods. After a few weeks of Liam massaging her waist, the two began a secret relationship. On September 24th, Liam went to Bing's house to find her, but when he arrived at the door, he heard Bing sitting on the bed talking on the phone with someone else. The tone and content of Bing's voice were sweet and clearly showed care. Liam was certain that the person Bing was talking to was not her husband. Zhang Liam became angry and, seeking revenge on his lover, immediately called Zhao Cheng Kuei and claimed that An Bing was about to leave with another man. However, Kuei not only did not believe him, but also scolded Zhang Liam over the phone. Furious, Liam hung up and stormed into the house to interrogate his lover about the man she was talking to. To his surprise, Bing laughed mockingly and taunted Zhang Liam, saying that she had relationships with 8 men at the same time and he was just one of many men in her life. Bing further stated that Liam had overestimated himself and had no right to control her. He was just a backup option. Zhang Liam, filled with rage, demanded that his lover end her relationships with other men, but Bing refused his request, ridiculing him. In his crazed state, upon discovering his lover's infidelity and being insulted by her husband over the phone, Liam rushed to attack An Bing. During the struggle, both fell from the bed to the ground. Bing tried to escape, but Liam pulled her back and slammed her head against the bedpost. In the fight for survival, blood from their wounds seeped into the mattress. The more An Bing resisted, the more Zhang Liam became increasingly frenzied and ruthless. He placed his knee on the victim's abdomen and strangled her, causing broken ribs and internal organ damage. After killing An Bing, Liam contemplated where to dispose of the body and took Bing's remains to a large well on the eastern side of Baitujiang village. He tied a rock to the body and threw it into the depths of the well. He chose this location to hide the body and demonstrate his cunning because he believed that after October, when the temperature dropped below 0 degrees Celsius, the water there would freeze completely. Typically, people would gather near the well to fetch water, but when the water froze and the harsh winter arrived, the area around the well would be deserted, with few visitors. Therefore, Zhang Liam thought that his crime would be difficult to discover. Later, Zhang Liam recalled his conversation with the victim's husband. where he claimed that An Bing would leave with another man due to an affair. He secretly returned to the crime scene and threw the victim's mobile phone into an abandoned area in the village. The police later found the victim's phone based on Zhang Liam's guidance, further clarifying the case. After everything was resolved, Liam arranged to leave the village with his wife and children to Guangxi. During police interrogations, Liam stubbornly insisted that if Bing had not betrayed him and seduced another man, he would not have killed her. In the end, Zhang Liam received the death penalty at the end of 2012. In this case, Zhao Chengkui had been working far away in Shanxi to provide a better life for his wife, but his wife had engaged in extramarital relationships at home. Ultimately, she was killed and he was partly responsible for it. He destroyed many crucial pieces of evidence at the crime scene due to his lack of knowledge and arrogance. This was only due to his deduction from a strange phone call from his cousin coinciding with his wife's disappearance. He worried that it would be embarrassing if the police investigated and discovered that he and his wife didn't have any children. Because of this, he overlooked many alarming signs regarding his wife's safety, such as the bloodstains in the room and her personal belongings remaining at home. This prevented the police from continuing the investigation at that time, so it took 6 months after An Bing's body was found for additional leads to be discovered. And Bing was probably someone who enjoyed a peaceful life, as she didn't have young children to worry about. While she was of working age, Bing didn't want to work alongside her husband, but chose to stay at home and wait for him to send money. She complained about the difficult life, but never made an effort to earn money. In her free time, she engaged in illicit relationships with multiple men, which led to a heartbreaking outcome. Throughout the entire ordeal, Zhang Liam always saw himself as the victim betrayed by his lover, which fueled his anger and eventually led to the murder. Liam refused to acknowledge the core issue and also betrayed his legal spouse in the marriage. Those who engage in extramarital relationships with married women will not experience anything good because such relationships are fundamentally flawed. It is impossible to expect a positive outcome when the foundation is already compromised. Just like a tree with rotted roots cannot bear sweet fruit. How do you feel about today's case? Leave a comment so we can discuss. And if you liked it, don't hesitate to leave a like and subscribe to the channel to support us. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.